Most email marketing agencies and freelancers want more leads, but they're stuck. They don't know where to find them, what channels are working best, and they don't know how to turn those leads into high ticket paying clients. In my email marketing agency, Flowcandy, we get leads every day. Sometimes we get hundreds of leads a day. And that's helped us get new clients month after month for years now. So in today's video, I'm going to walk you through my lead generation system. So show you how it works so you can swipe it and implement it in your own agency or freelance business. And if you want the blueprint, guys, I'm going to walk through this entire map. I'll link it in the description so you can just click on it. You don't even need to opt in. You just click on it and view it right away. So let's dive in. The first thing I always tell people, especially like people inside my school community, because this is a common question, like how do I get more leads? I need more leads. I need more leads. Is the first thing you need to do is you need to go and look at what are your current leads? Like how have you gotten your current leads? And this is what I did early on in my career building my agency is I went through every single lead I had gotten really in the past 18 months. And like I documented like exactly what we did, where they came from. Was it a referral? Was it this channel? And what I realized early on was initially when I first started my agency, and this was pre-COVID, okay? So I wouldn't say this is the right way to do it now, but pre-COVID, most of my leads came from Upwork. So we just doubled down on that. This is like 2017, 2018. It's a lot more competitive now. But I was like, hey, if I'm sending 20 proposals a week on Upwork, and I want to double my agency, how can I send 40 proposals a week? And that's literally what I did to scale past 10K at first when I was a freelancer. So that's why I always tell people I'm about to walk through this whole entire flow map. There's all sorts of stuff that I'm going to talk about. But really, if you're already in business, you already have clients, like just go double down on what's already working, because a lot of times that's the fastest way. I mean, there's going to be a lot of good value bombs here, gems that I'm going to walk through. But like, if you're looking for speed, like the quickest way sometimes is just double down on what has already worked for you. Okay. If you've watched any of my videos though, moving on, it's really important to understand the type of clients you target in the sort of the email marketing, CRM, lifecycle marketing, niche, retention niche. Okay. And there's really 4 key market segments. All right. And this is true for all of B2B. It's not just agencies. It's not just email marketing agencies. This is true for mostly all of B2B. There's 4 key segments. Okay. From a revenue level. The first is the entrepreneurial segment. This is brands under $1 million or clients under $1 million in annual revenue. There's the small to medium sized business, sometimes just called SMB. That is about 1 to 10 million. Then you get into mid-market, where the lower tranche of the mid-market is like 10 to 30 million. And then you get into the 30, 100, 200, 300 million. This is sort of where a lot of like challenger brands, especially in the e-commerce niche that I work mostly in, a lot of like the challenger brands that everybody wants to work with, like the Groons and the Athletic Greens. That's where they're at, the sort of the upper tranche of the mid-market. And then you get into the enterprise. These are like your publicly traded companies. Okay. Anybody doing over $500 million, normally hundreds, if not thousands of employees, Fortune 500, Fortune 1000, publicly traded. Certainly at the upper band, it's, people like Google and Microsoft. But the reason I say that is because like you really need to understand this, and you really need to understand your ICP, because that's going to dictate everything I'm about to say. Okay. And a lot of people skip this part. They just want to jump in right into the marketing. They're like, hey, Will, I see you on LinkedIn, or I see so-and-so on YouTube or TikTok, or doing webinars, or going to events. Should I be doing that? Is that what I should be doing? And the reality is maybe, but like you really need to understand who you're targeting and who your ICP is, because that's going to dictate which channels and platforms you focus on. Okay. So really get clear on the type of clients you have, like where they are in their journey, in their business. What is your ICP within this segment too? Like at Flowcandy, we literally have entire document tracking all of this. Okay. We know the gender, company size, tech stack, employee count, location, pain points, dreams, frustrations, like why they would delay, what would trigger them to buy, like did they then migrate to another platform or something? What are they skeptical of? What would impress their boss? So we have answers to all of these questions, okay? And it's really important because that really it's like a domino effect. Like when you can come in with this sort of like targeting in your marketing, it's just going to amplify everything, like all the channels and the mediums that I'm going to talk about in a second. Okay. But what that really allows you to do is also get clear on your positioning. And I've talked about this in other videos, but, and I'll link to it in another video. I have a whole video on how to scale to $30,000. Like if you're just kind of like, hey, I got a couple clients, I'm doing under $10,000, and maybe I'm right around $10,000 a month. I want to get to $30,000 a month. Will, what would you do? I have a whole entire video on how to do that I will link in the description. But where I see a lot of people on like LinkedIn and Upwork right now is they're positioned in this sort of like, I help X get Y in Z amount of time. I help D2C brands increase their sales with email marketing. I help, venture-backed companies increase their sales with lifecycle marketing. I help coaches increase their sales with email marketing. These are the type of positions I'm seeing. They're using this classic I help X get Y in Z amount of time formula. It works to some extent, but especially if you're watching this in the e-commerce niche where it's like I help D2C brands increase their sales with email marketing, or e-commerce brands with retention marketing. Like there's just so many people doing that right now, and it's hard to really stand out. And the better you can position yourself, all right, the more your marketing can stand out. So that's why I come back to segments, ICP, positioning first before marketing. Because if you can really nail it, the marketing it's like throwing gasoline on the marketing. Okay. And if you're kind of stuck here with positioning, you're like, yeah, I think I need to reposition. I want to introduce you to a new formula. I've talked about this before. I'll link to it in the description in one of my other videos. But what you want to do is you want to have an instantly clear and differentiated headline. Like when prospects are looking at you, it needs to be clear exactly what you are. You need to sort of state a problem, and then you need to show why you're different. Like what are the three promises and why you're different? Okay. And I call this like the category of one. I had a coach one time, Austin Nelsey from 2X, highly recommend. He called it like best in the world, like being best in the world at one thing. Okay. So that's how he framed it. And then, this three promises comes directly from Verne Harnish's Scaling Up. Okay. So, I'm kind of like combining it, but this is like certainly how we do it in Flow Candy, and it really puts us in a category. Even though like we are a Klaviyo agency, that's my agency. It's like a sort of a scaled up 7-figure, multi-million-dollar Klaviyo agency, but we kind of feel like we don't really compete with too many people because we're just so different. We have like just this sort of niche positioning, like this category of one. We're best in the world at this one thing, which for us, it's more around like moving Klaviyo in-house. But I want to come back, like I want to give you an example of how this positioning works. Okay. So I help D2C brands increase their sales with email marketing. But if you, like, let's say you got really good at, it's like a much more niche positioning. It's like, hey, we help retail and e-commerce brands turn Braze into a high-performing lifecycle marketing engine. Campaigns, flows, segments, and customer journeys should be driving repeat purchases, replenishments, but e-commerce teams don't have a strategy. They don't have the bandwidth or the Braze expertise to make that happen consistently. All right. And here's the 3 reasons why we're different. We only focus on the Braze platform. Okay. We have a deep focus on retail and e-commerce, and we're full service. We do everything from copywriting, design, to implementation, quality control, and all that sort of stuff. So you tell me, guys, okay? Like, if you are a retail commerce brand, and Braze is sort of, if you don't know what Braze is, it's kind of like an enterprise level or upper mid market level um, life cycle marketing tool for not just retail and commerce. There's a lot of like fintechs on it, um, and other like software apps, stuff like that. But you tell me if you are like the Gap or Elf Cosmetics who uses Braze, all right, and you're looking to hire a new email marketing agency or looking for help with email marketing or lifecycle marketing, who are you going to pick? Are you going to pick the I help D2C brands increase their sales with email marketing? Or are you going to like be much more intrigued by the Braze lifecycle marketing experts who only focus on retail? Okay. So that's kind of what I'm talking about. I know you guys like when I give these positioning examples, people just copy them. They're like, "Okay, Will, what do you think of this?" And they just like literally copy or like 90% copy what I'm doing here. And look, I'm not an expert in Braze. I don't have like a lot of experience with it. It's just an example. Um, but I do think something like this would really hit in the market, especially in the enterprise or the upper mid market. But just be aware that that's a whole different ballgame. But yeah, I mean, this is an example, and I'm going to show you why this becomes so much more powerful when you move into marketing. Okay, this is why I start with positioning, understanding that okay, if I'm going to be a Braze company, all right, I need or I'm a focus on Braze and serving that agents, those agencies or those customers that are using that platform. I know that I'm going to be targeting the mid market and the enterprise. Okay, who am I selling into? Is it like the director of life cycle? What is their location, their employee count? What are the real problems? Okay, um, and that allows me to come up with like niche positioning like this. Okay. And when you can come up with niche positioning, you can come up with way more interesting lead magnets. Okay. Um, so I'm going to show you all the different types of lead magnets that you could do or that I've done. And what you'll see if you've like interacted with some of my lead magnets, people will see like, oh, Will did like a AG1 athletic greens breakdown, or so and so did like an athletic greens breakdown video. So I should do an athletic greens breakdown video. And the reality is like the world doesn't really need another athletic greens breakdown video. Sad to say, it's been played over and over and over again, and it's like the same like D2C marketing experts doing that. And so this would be like a brand breakdown that I was certainly known for. This is how I was one of the first people on LinkedIn to start doing this. I wasn't the first, but I saw this trend early on. I started doing them on popular Klaviyo brands, but now a lot of people are doing them, and it certainly still works. But I have a little bit of scale and traction here, and there's other people doing it too that have a lot of scale and traction with these brand breakdown videos or brand breakdown lead magnets or brand breakdown sort of tutorial content. And it still definitely works, but people are just doing it like the same thing, that they're just copying what everybody else is doing. Now, if you are positioned as the the retail and e-commerce Braze expert, okay, you could do popular brand breakdowns on Braze specific brands, and you can totally calibrate the lead magnet to the platform of Braze. Okay, so this is why I'm coming back to positioning, why it's so important. And what that's going to do is that's obviously going to repel everybody who's not on Braze, like anybody who's using Klaviyo or who's using Omnisend or Salesforce or HubSpot or Customer.io, whatever. I mean, there's so many CRMs now. Okay. But what it's going to massively attract the people that are using Braze, specifically the brands that are using Braze in the retail and e-commerce niche. And that's what you want. You want to like really attract those people because that's your positioning. Okay. And so you can do now you have all these brand breakdowns on specific brands and how they're using Braze. And you could I'm not going to get into how to do that, but that's just like one lead magnet type, an example of how you can just take one lead magnet type with much more superior positioning and category of one positioning, as I call it, and how that sort of trickles downstream with your lead magnets and how that's so important at attracting people. Okay. Brand breakdown swipe files. This is another one we'll do. Um, like you could, we'll download the emails, and then you get access to all those emails. And then and a lot of times we'll have commentary on what they're doing. One thing I do is we give away all of our SOPs at FlowCandy. If you want, I'll make a note to link them in the descriptions, but it's called our systems library. We give it all away. It's part of our positioning. Our positioning is to help brands move it in-house. So therefore, to move it in-house, you need all the SOPs. Now, if you're a Braze agency, that doesn't necessarily have to be your positioning, but you could say, hey, here's the SOP on how to create customer journeys in Braze. Okay. And you can make that a lead magnet. All right. Like the 15 SOPs every retail brand using Braze needs, something like that, and I'm going to get into the mediums, like where you do this, how, like is it YouTube, LinkedIn. Okay. But first I just want to talk about the lead magnet types, give you like a framework of like, what are the types of SOPs? Okay. Or what are the types of lead magnets? There's breakdowns, there's swipe files, there's SOPs, there's templates, we do this a lot. We like create, like master templates, or like sort of stock templates. We even sell them like Figma templates too. So, and a lot of times they're kind of the same thing. Like you could take the same Figma template and implement it in Klaviyo versus Braze versus Salesforce versus HubSpot versus all these different CRMs. Okay. Benchmark reports. We do this. We were sort of known for this. We'll like benchmark brands. Like, if I was doing, like sticking with this Braze positioning example, okay, like I would benchmark one brand like Uber, because I think Uber uses Braze versus like Elf. Okay. Like what's the difference between an app and like a retail brand using Braze? Or it could be like how Gap versus Elf, like what are they, like when I benchmark them. And so we have all these benchmark reports on like, how many sends they're doing, what are the angles they're doing, what platform they're on, like how many sends they're doing a month. So like we have like benchmarks on that. Tutorials are really good, like walkthroughs, like how to do this, how to design that. Everybody's sort of doing like and this is why positioning is so important, because everyone's like, hey, here's how to build a welcome flow in Klaviyo. It's kind of like, like everyone's done that, like no one wants to hear that, but no one's out there like, hey, here's how to build a onboarding flow or onboarding customer journey just for Braze in the retail niche or in the beauty niche or in the pets niche, So it's like, again, you're getting these types of tutorials that are just a little bit more calibrated in niche that's going to attract people more. Okay. Playbooks, same thing. We do this a lot. A lot of times it's just like a PowerPoint presentation or a Google Drive presentation, and we'll create it a playbook. You can take your SOPs and make them playbooks, so you can sort of like regenerate content or remix content, okay, or remix them into different lead magnets. We do that. GPTs, this is something we did early on and we still do. It's like we will literally make, like, let's say we have an SOP or some sort of checklist on like, let's just say how to build a flow, okay, for Klaviyo, because our market is Klaviyo. We'll then go ahead and turn that into a custom GPT, all right? Like that'll walk people through how to build a welcome flow. And this is a terrible example. I wouldn't recommend this. I think it's kind of dumb. A lot of people know how to build a welcome flow now, but maybe it's something more complex, like it's a GPT on, like we took all of our SOPs and made it into a GPT so that our clients, if they wanted to, talk with the GPT, they could do it. And we gave it away for free also as a lead magnet. Same thing if you want, there's all sorts of things you could do with the GPTs, like any sort of process or playbook or checklist or SOP that you have, you could turn that into a GPT, make it public and give it away as a lead magnet. Same thing with prompt libraries. These work really well for us. Like we have all the prompts that we've tested with the Klaviyo segment builder, or all the prompts we have around sort of prompting Klaviyo, retention marketing, all that sort of stuff that is really unique to our position in the market. We like put that into a like a Excel sheet or something and create a lead magnet, give that away. That gets leads all the time for us. Live trainings too. This works really well. Like we've done this. They're a little bit harder top of funnel. I think I'll talk about it a little bit more like middle of funnel. I think they work better middle of funnel, but in some markets they could be great sort of ways to get top of funnel awareness. Free quiz, like we have a free quiz to score our prospects. Sometimes like we give it to them before if they book a discovery call, we'll give them to them before. We have then turned that into a lead magnet and said, hey, do you want to see where you're at? So we give that away as a lead magnet. So that's worked very well. And one of my favorite ones is this book, the book funnel, the book lead magnet. We wrote a big book on our whole entire philosophy called The 4 Levels of Klaviyo. And this is so good for a lot of reasons. One, you can make it a lead magnet. Two, it's like a very, very high authority piece that you can give away. It just sort of establishes you as an expert. And we give it away on sales calls. We give it away for free. We also sell it sometimes. And so therefore it's like, okay, you can get it for free or you can buy it. And so you can, anyone, if you have like and I'm just giving an example, if you're in the Braze niche, you could create a book on, how retail brands can turn Braze into a lifecycle marketing engine, or something like that. I'm just shooting off the cuff. I'm sure if I really spend some time on it, I would have a much more calibrated book title. But you get what I'm saying? Like you can create a whole book on how to use Braze as a retail brand, and that's going to and you can give it away as a lead magnet, and that's going to attract anybody who uses Braze in the retail and commerce space to you. Okay, so it's very important I talk about the magnet types, because your brain is probably already thinking, okay, now I can do okay, I got a position, but now there's all these different lead magnets I can create now. And then it's like, okay, what channels do I go to? All right. And this is really, really important. These are all the channels I've tried over the years. We don't do all of them, but I will say that this is why it's really important to understand your market, understand where your market's at, because different segments of the market are going to interact differently in these different mediums. Okay. Like your enterprise brand is probably your enterprise, like lifecycle marketing, head of CRM. If you're trying to sell into that, is probably not going to be on TikTok. All right. But if you're working with a young entrepreneurial founder for this new, fast growing brand, like they're much more likely to be on like TikTok or Instagram or something like that. Okay. So it's really important you understand like what segment they're at, their ICP, because people always ask me, Will, should I just go right to LinkedIn and do what you're doing on LinkedIn? Not necessarily, because my target market, like FlowCandy's positioning, is really kind of right here in the mid-market. We'll certainly work with SMBs. We've certainly worked with some enterprises. It's hard to like target more than one or two of these, in my opinion. But like our positioning is kind of right there. That's the sweet spot, the mid-market. And that's why we've like doubled, tripled down on LinkedIn. Okay. We're just starting to kind of like play around with YouTube. And a lot of times that's just enough to scale into the millions, in my opinion. All right. You don't need to like do all of these channels. What you really need to do is have really good positioning, really understand your customers, and then produce some of these good lead magnets. Okay. And so LinkedIn, mostly enterprise, mid-market, some SMBs and entrepreneurial. YouTube, Meta, TikTok, I think it, like it sways all across the board. But I think like if you're targeting a lot of entrepreneurial brands or SMBs, like I would spend more time there. But maybe try LinkedIn, maybe try all of them. But like just know that like there's a lot of prospects there, especially if you're targeting like younger demographics, clients and stuff like that. Ads too. Ads can work well. Top of funnel, that Yeah, especially if you have like much more niche positioning. If you're just saying, I think this sort of like ad of like, hey, we help, you install 8 flows in 30 days or less, and we're contractually obligated to do that and double your revenue. And if not, we send your money back. Like these crazy headlines. I think they're a little bit overplayed, especially as you move into the mid market and in enterprise. I found that type of hook is not that as attractive to them because because when you understand their problems, they're they're different problems. Okay, the entrepreneurial and the SMBs, yes, they want revenue, 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 revenue. Like everybody wants revenue, sales increase, but these more these clients up here, they tend to have like much more granular problems. And I'll just give you some examples. Like, hey, mid markets, it's like, hey, we're preparing for an acquisition. We're in talks with like a private equity company, and we need to make sure we hand this off to a team that's going to have it like totally dialed in, not make any mistakes, not ruin our deliverability, not like overinflate sales or like cheapen the brand. Or it could be, hey, we're rolling out, you know, we just went through like a phase with Target. Now we're rolling out nationwide with Target, and we need a team that can really help us like ramp up that omni-channel sort of presence. Like these are the problems we hear. It's not all about just like I want to make more money, which I think that tends to hit better in the entrepreneurial and the SMB segment with the ads, and that's why you see that. But I think a lot of the most of the mid market and the enterprise clients, they sort of have their what I call like anti agency radar kind of going on. They're like because a lot of these companies have already have flows, they already have campaigns set up, they've already been set that up with another agency, they've already been burned sometimes by another agency, so they're a little bit more skeptical, but they can certainly work, especially if you're in like a very niche thing. Communities, events work really well, especially into the mid market. Even like enterprise, like trade shows and stuff like that. We've gotten clients from events a lot. Newsletters, like when I say newsletters, I mean like getting sponsorship in a newsletter. We had something where we did like a sponsorship, and like every time this guy would send the newsletter out, we'd get like 5 sales calls booked. Okay. And for some of you, like that's like that would be like the best month ever. So that's why I say it's like important to understand the market, because like maybe you don't have to go and do LinkedIn, all this stuff on LinkedIn. Maybe you could just find a joint venture partner, or maybe you could like partner with like we've partnered with Klaviyo. They sent us leads sometimes too. So like maybe you can just find that one partner that can literally just send you the leads, and that can scale you up to sort of the place that you want to be, and you don't have to spend as much time creating the lead magnets and stuff like that or doing ads. So yeah, that's why it's important to understand all of these different mediums. All of them are available to you, but once you do that, okay, once you have, and this is where it gets like a little bit more advanced, okay, and this is certainly like more the problem of scale, is once you get all these leads, soon you'll start getting leads every day. And like I said, my agency, Flow Candy, sometimes we get hundreds a day, and then you have to do lead scoring, and this is what no one's talking about, like really looking at the leads. And being like, okay, like, are these leads actually in our ICP? Can we actually service these leads? Like, what industry are they in? What title are they? Who is this lead? What is their title? Are they like CEO or VP? Or are they more like a junior analyst, that someone that we're never going to be able to sell into? What platform are they on? What location? What revenue level? And if, essentially, you can give them a score, and then that sort of dictates where the marketing goes, middle of funnel. So this is what a lot of people aren't talking about, which becomes like a lot more challenging. They're like, okay, I want leads, I want leads, I want leads. But then it's like, okay, you get leads. Now you kind of have to score them and move in the middle of the funnel and turn them into sales prospects, or move them into sales and then turn them into clients. And that's a whole nother sort of game, right? It's a whole nother problem, a whole nother challenge or opportunity, however you want to look at it. But it is, it's something that a lot of people that I think that are just like, I need more leads, I need more leads, I need more leads. They don't really think past that. And once you get the leads, okay, you actually have to sort of convert them, all right, or get them, move them along and ascend them into like your sales process, all right. And so what we do is like once we get the leads, we do a lot of newsletters and automations. Um, just educational content is really good. We do chat. We chat with them on social media sites like LinkedIn, or if it was Instagram, we would do that. We do webinars, live training events, outreach. If they're like really manual outreach, if they're more like really really good high lead score, we'll do special offers. Like special offer would be like a unique thing we're doing this month that's like unique to solving a certain pain point that they want. And it basically uh, it's like there's a lot we can like put some scarcity into it, and limited spots, something like that. And then obviously you got to get case studies and testimonials and have all this sort of middle of funnel content dialed in to really earn trust and social proof, I guess, to really move them more downstream. There's obviously retargeting. There's assessments too. We do these sometimes, like a sort of like auditing, but also like assessing, like sort of what like another brand is doing. So these are all sort of like, you can almost think of them like middle of funnel lead magnets, okay, that we're doing. And then eventually that moves the prospects and the leads into a sales process, okay. And I've talked about this in other videos. I'm going to link to it, the video on how to get to $30,000 and also how to price email marketing services. I'll link to that because I talk about this sort of process in a little bit more detail in those videos. But basically, how I'm seeing sales work in the market with a lot of companies around FlowCandy's size, a lot of agencies that are even bigger, lifecycle marketing agencies, even digital marketing agencies, stuff like that. Is typically it's a two call close, especially in the SMB and the mid market, where I have a lot of experience. I think in the entrepreneurial market, you could do one call closes. Like literally, they book a call with you, and you could literally turn them into a client on that first call. But for what I'm seeing, most of our process is a two-step call, and even sometimes it'll go three or four because we got to get through like compliance, and then there's legal and accountants and lawyers and all this sort of stuff involved to get like a deal through. And then if you guys, like, again, like using the Braze example that I talked about earlier, if you're working more on enterprise type clients, be prepared for like 5, maybe even 10 calls sometimes. Those sales processes take a long time. We've sold a couple enterprise clients over the years, and it's not something that just happened overnight. It was like, it took a quarter or two to actually get the deal through compliance and get onboarded and actually start receiving. And then they had like net 90 terms. So it's like we didn't get paid for a whole nother quarter. So yeah, I mean, it's this process is, that's why I kind of started the stages. It's different. There's different levels to it. It depends on what the type of client you're going after in sort of the email and lifecycle niche. But a lot of times for most entrepreneurial SMBs, mid-market, you can two call close all the time. And typically you have this discovery call where disco call, strategy session, breakout session. I've heard it called a bunch of different ways, but you're basically having like a qualifying them 15-minute call just to see if like you're a good fit to actually help serve them. Okay. You're not trying to pitch them. You're actually, and maybe I need to do some more training on sales, but like you're actually listening to them and just really seeing if you can actually help solve their problem. Okay. And if you can then move on to how we like to do it, is like a free audit. Okay. Or some sort of audit. Maybe sometimes it's paid, where basically you can get access to their account. Sometimes we have to sign an NDA to do this, but we can get access to their account, and then we can audit their account and show them what sort of opportunity they have um, to increase their sales or solve whatever problem they're having with email and life cycle. And I call it audit. You could call it a bunch of different ways. I think they're definitely, I almost feel like this term is dirty now because so many people are calling it an audit. We don't actually even call it an audit anymore, but I'm just putting the word audit because that's what most of the market uses. Like where you can audit their accounts, see where the problems are, see where the opportunities are, and then you can get on an audit call and you show them those opportunities, and then you can, if it's still a good fit, you can then talk more about what it would be to get started to work with you as a freelancer or you as an email marketing agency. And I typically recommend, and this is what we have it at Flow Candy. We have a couple more now, but it's really three sort of core categories of offers. All right. You have your low ticket downsell. This is sort of like a low ticket project, a project that's easy to say yes to. It can be, for my market, anywhere from $500 to $2,500, maybe sometimes up to 5K. If you're in the enterprise, your low ticket downsell could literally be like a 90-day strategy project where you're like road mapping out the whole thing. So that could certainly work in the enterprise. But for a lot of the SMBs, it could be just like a quick low ticket downsell that might take like 1-2 weeks to get done, and where they can just sort of know, like, and trust you, and you can provide them a good experience. They're not locked into some contract or something like that, and then you can ascend them into what is likely your 60 to 90 day or 30-day project, some sort of project. For a lot of you guys watching this, it might be like a flow optimization or journey optimization, or some sort of like maybe it's like campaign project, or I've even seen some people in the mid markets and enterprise do like A/B testing projects or retention. It could be fractional retention work. There's all sorts of things you could do, but it's some sort of 60-90 day project that's mostly full service or some sort of variant of full service, but there's a clear cutoff date. So they're not locked into a contract, and you can do a good job. They're not locked into a contract, and therefore, like, it's easy for them to say yes to initially or get through compliance. And then eventually, if you do an amazing job, which hopefully everyone here watching this is doing an amazing job in client delivery, you can then ascend them into the recurring. This is the framework I recommend most email marketing agencies use or freelancers use. It works in just about every market. It doesn't matter if it's Klaviyo, Sales, or Salesforce. It doesn't matter if it's SMB or enterprise. Like, you can use this sort of three core categories, I guess, if you want to call them that, to center your products around. And it also makes it way easier in client delivery and fulfillment because you can systematize all these products, and that's a whole nother video. But that's why I highly recommend it. Some people go right into the recurring project. I'm very skeptical of doing this, at least for us. So our recurring project would be like almost like in-house, full service email marketing services. Okay. And it's just like almost like you're their email marketing department. You're their lifecycle marketing department. You're doing all the strategy, copywriting, development, design, implementation, and obviously that's where you want to get to eventually. But in my opinion, it's really hard to ramp up right away. It's kind of like going from like first date to marriage, like that. You know, it's much easier to like slowly ascend them, get to know their brand, get to know the people in their company to see if like this is something you actually want to do. It gives your team time to get acquainted and get to know their team. So that's why we like to do it, because it's just way easier on the client and your internal team, in my experience. But some people do it. Some people ramp right up to recurring. It certainly can be done. It's just not the method that I do personally, and that I recommend, like people that ask me on LinkedIn or people that ask me in my school community. So that's basically it, guys. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Again, I'm going to link to some of the videos I talked about. I'm going to link to this whole entire, if you want this whole entire blueprint that I just walked through, I'll link to it below. You can just click on the link and look at it yourself. All right, stay tuned for the next one. I'll see you guys next time. Later, guys.